Have you ever felt like you were born without a niche? You know the feeling. It's that slight pang of anxiety when someone asks you the simplest, most terrifying question in the world. So, what do you do? For most people, that's an easy answer. They are a graphic designer, they are a nurse, they are an accountant. But for you, your mind is currently a browser with 47 tabs open. You're into coding, but you also spent last night researching 14th century architecture. You're a marketing professional by day, but you're secretly halfway through a deep dive course on cognitive behavioral therapy, and you just bought a violin. Instead of feeling like a master of the universe, you probably feel like a jack of all trades, master of none. You've likely been told by parents, career counselors, or well-meaning friends that you need to pick a lane. We live in a world that worships specialization. We are told that the only way to succeed is to put on blinders, dig a very narrow hole, and stay there for 40 years. If you don't, you're labeled as flaky, unfocused, or lacking grit. But here's the truth that the modern economy doesn't want you to know. That feeling of being scattered, it isn't a bug in your operating system. It's a feature. That's self. In fact, it might be your greatest competitive advantage. Today, we are going to talk about the polymaths burden. We're going to look at why your brain is wired to seek connections across disciplines, the neuroscience behind curiosity-driven growth, and why in an age of artificial intelligence, being a generalist is the only way to stay indispensable. If you've spent your life feeling like a scanner or a multi-potentialite who just can't settle down, this video is for you. We're going to turn your burden into your brand. Let's start by deconstructing the lie. The idea that you must specialize is actually a very recent historical fluke. Think back to the Renaissance man. People like Leonardo da Vinci didn't see a wall between art and anatomy. To Leonardo, understanding how a tendon moved in a corpse was exactly what allowed him to paint the subtle tension in a hand on canvas. He wasn't distracted, he was integrated. The Industrial Revolution changed this. To make factories efficient, we needed humans to act like cogs. We needed people who could do one repetitive task perfectly. This gave birth to our current education system, a literal assembly line designed to produce specialists. But we no longer live in a factory world. We live in a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The specialist's fragility versus the polymath's antifragility. In biology, there's a concept called niche specialization. Some animals are incredibly good at living in one specific tree, eating one specific leaf. They are masters of that niche. But if that tree goes extinct, the specialist dies. Then there are the generalists, crows, raccoons, humans. We aren't the best at any one thing, but we can pivot. In the career world, a hyper-specialist is fragile. If their specific software or industry is disrupted by AI, they are stuck. But you, the person with too many interests, you are anti-fragility. You don't just survive chaos, you thrive on it because you have a diverse portfolio of mental models to pull from. When you have multiple interests, you aren't starting over every time you try something new. You are idea stacking. And that is where true innovation happens. Why does your brain work this way? Why can't you just be normal and focus on one thing? It comes down to how your brain handles associative thinking. Most brains are built for depth-first processing. They find a path and follow it to the end. But the polymathic brain often excels at breadth-first processing. Your neural pathways are like a vast, interconnected subway system rather than a single straight highway. 1. The cross-pollination effect. In neuroscience, we talk about synaptic plasticity. Every time you learn a new skill, say, learning how to cook a complex French meal, your brain creates new neural connections. Now, here's the magic. When you go back to your day job as a project manager, those cooking connections don't just disappear. Your brain begins to subconsciously apply the logic of mise en place, the culinary practice of prepping everything before you start, to your software development cycle. You begin to see patterns that a pure coder would never see. This is what we call cross-pollination. It's the ability to take a solution from field A and apply it to a problem in field B. 2. High latent inhibition. Many polymaths and highly creative people have what psychologists call lower latent inhibition. Latent inhibition is the brain's ability to filter out irrelevant information. If you're walking down the street, your brain usually filters out the texture of the brick wall or the sound of a distant lawnmower, so you can focus on where you're going. People with lower latent inhibition take in more of the environment. They see the irrelevance as potential. To you, a random conversation about biology might spark an idea for a new marketing campaign. Your distraction is actually your brain refusing to ignore the hidden connections between things. 3. The T-shaped versus M-shaped individual. In career design, we often talk about T-shaped people, one deep vertical bar of expertise and a thin horizontal bar of general knowledge. But as a polymath, you are likely M-shaped. You have multiple deep verticals, and where those verticals meet the valleys between your interests is where the million-dollar ideas live. Think about Steve Jobs. He wasn't just a tech guy. He was a tech guy who was obsessed with calligraphy. Without his distraction with beautiful fonts, the personal computer might have stayed a clunky, ugly tool for mathematicians. He brought the art vertical into the tech vertical. That intersection changed the world. Let's talk about the market value of your curiosity. We are currently entering the age of synthesis. AI is incredibly good at being a specialist. An AI can read 1,000,000 X-rays better than a radiologist. It can write basic code faster than a junior dev. It can analyze legal documents faster than a paralegal.com. What can AI not do? It cannot synthesize. It cannot look at a problem in urban planning, realize it's actually a problem of human psychology, and solve it using a metaphor from jazz music. That requires a human bridge builder. 1. The interface advantage. Because you speak many languages, metaphorically, you are the ultimate translator. You can talk to the engineers and the designers and the sales team. You understand all their worlds. In a corporate environment, this makes you the glue. You are the person who sees that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. 2. Rapid learning as a meta skill. Because you have switched interests so many times, you have developed a hidden superpower. You know how to learn. A specialist who has done one thing for 20 years is often terrified of change. Their learning muscles have atrophied. But you've been a beginner 100 times. You've mastered the art of the deep dive. You know how to deconstruct a new subject, find the 20% of info that gives 80% of the results, and get up to speed in weeks. In a world where industries disappear every 5 years, learning how to learn is the only job security that exists. Once a week, perform a cross-pollination audit. Look at your disparate interests and ask, how does my knowledge of interest A help me solve a problem in interest B? Write it down. This trains your brain to look for the high-value intersections. This is where you find your unique value proposition, the thing you can do that no one else can. Tool 3. The skill stacking. Resume. Stop trying to look like a specialist on paper. It's a lie, and people can smell it. Instead, brand yourself as a specialized generalist. Asterisk. I am a marketer who understands behavioral neuroscience and video production. I am a coder who has a background in philosophy and ethics. When you stack 3 average skills together, you become the top 1% in the world at that specific combination. Tool 4. The 20% curiosity tax. Budget your time. Give 80% of your energy to your anchor project to ensure stability, but give 20% of your time to pure play, learning things with no immediate ROI. This 20% is your R&D department. It's where your future career pivots are born. I want to offer a quick reality check. For some of you, too many interests might not just be a polymathic trait. It might be ADHD or a response to high sensitivity. If your interest hopping is accompanied by extreme difficulty in basic executive function, like paying bills or keeping a calendar, or if you find yourself starting things because you're chasing a dopamine hit and then crashing into deep depression when the novelty wears off, please be kind to yourself. In those cases, sequential polymathy isn't just a career tip, it's a mental health necessity. You might need external systems, like a coach or specific apps, to provide the scaffolding that your brain struggles to build. Also, watch out for the procrastinating trap. Sometimes, we dive into a new interest because we are scared of failing at our current one. If you find yourself buying a new course every time your main project gets hard, that's not polymathy, that's avoidance. Ask yourself, am I moving towards something new, or am I running away from the discomfort of being a messy middle in my current project? I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to give yourself permission to stop trying to be one thing. Society uses the word specialist as a synonym for serious. They use generalist as a synonym for dilettante. But that is a narrow, fearful way to look at human potential. You are not a broken specialist. You are a synthesizer. The world is full of people who can see the trees. We are desperately short on people who can see the forest. We need people who can see how the soil affects the trees, how the birds move the seeds, and how the weather patterns from 1,000 miles away change everything. Your scattered interests are the sensors you have placed all over the world to gather data. Your job is to bring that data back and make sense of it for the rest of us. It's okay if your career path looks like a zigzag instead of a ladder. Ladders only go one way. Zigzags cover more ground. To wrap this up, remember, specialization is for insects. As Robert Heinlein famously said, in a changing world, your ability to pivot is your security. Synthesis is the new mastery. Your value isn't in what you know, it's in how you connect what you know. Finish the loops that matter. You don't have to finish every book you start, but you do need to finish the anchor projects that build your life. If you're feeling overwhelmed by your own curiosity, I've put together a Polymath prioritization matrix placeholder to help you decide which interests to anchor and which to park. You can download it in the link below. And if you want to understand the other side of this, the fear that stops you from actually showing your many-sided self to the world, you should watch this video next. Why you sabotage your success and what it says about your fear of visibility. You aren't a jack of all trades. You are an architect of connections. Go build something that only you can see. I'll see you in the next one.